Troy here with Seller.Tools. We're going to do a quick Monday YouTube live with you. Hopefully you're having a great Monday. I'm going to give a little bit of time because I did this a bit last minute, but we're going to do this a little bit more, some impromptu content to give you some value throughout the week. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time. If you're just joining in, be sure to subscribe to the channel. As I mentioned, with more content coming out, there's going to be more information that you can get completely free. We're going to use impromptu to where you can drop some questions for me. I can answer those live, so I can give you some immediate value when you jump into these YouTube lives. So again, hopefully everybody's having a great Monday, and we're talking about something pretty fun here. Anytime you talk about product launches, obviously there's some strong opinions, and people have their experience and have seen a lot of different things, and of course have heard a lot of different things. And I think addressing this point head on when it comes to Facebook ads for a product launch strategy, it's really a controversial topic, because more often than not, what I see is all the positives and things like giveaway services, launches. Those tend to kind of get a more clear picture of pros and cons. And so what I'm really aiming to do is give you really the cons of doing Facebook ads as a effective launch strategy. And what I mean by that is when you're launching a product on Amazon, what you really want to do is rank and get visibility as quickly as possible with as little time and financial investment as possible. That's the ideal. That's where the word effective really comes from, is that it needs to be cost effective and then efficient with respect to your time commitment. And so what we've learned, hey Aiden, thanks for joining us, is that what we've learned through testing and coming out with our own launch platform in last launch is that what Amazon rewards right now, that it's always a shifting target, but what we know right now, what it rewards most is a high sales velocity. It tends to be ideally a 24-hour, if not 48-hour sales window, so a sales spike to higher quality customers. And where that takes us with respect to Facebook ads is some of the challenges that we have replicating that with Facebook ads is getting a tight sales window and then being able to really target and segment customers. Now, there are more advanced Facebook ads, operators, agencies, and so on that really know how to target and segment customers. But it's really a difficult exercise to be able to do that at scale to, again, have that high sales velocity. And so right off the bat, we have two real big challenges with Facebook ads that then require more of your time and financial investment to address that learning curve, to be able to replicate a 24-hour sales spike to a higher quality customer that you can identify and you have confidence in segmenting them on Facebook. So that learning curve is resource intensive. And so that's where it gets to be very tricky for a new seller or somebody who's really feeling frustrated or is rightfully in that learner's mindset. You always need to be learning when you're selling on Amazon, FBA, ecom, even omnichannel. You always have to be learning. The challenge and struggle gets to be where if you're learning to do Facebook ads to replicate what's working on Amazon, you have a very real opportunity cost. And that concept has to really be understood. Opportunity cost is essentially the concession you make to realize another outcome. And so instead of, let's say, running a launch, obviously biased to last launch, our platform that we've come out with is that there's an immediacy. You launch one day, 4 days later you rank, and then you manage that post-launch performance and that increased visibility. Where if you're learning Facebook ads, you need a runway from which you're going to have a time commitment, understanding your effective hourly rate and how that translates into a financial commitment. And then you've got to spend the money to display your ads, to maintain those ads with your time. And there gets to be a cascade effect. And again, there can be an eventuality to that commitment. But what I always champion, my philosophy is you want to be earning while you're learning. You don't necessarily want to be meddling in page 4, page 5, or even lower while you're learning Facebook ads, because the opportunity cost can be so real to your business. If you've just now sourced products, you've sourced your first 500 units, it's very difficult to get that momentum and then shift quickly into, okay, now I've got to learn how to replicate what Amazon wants. And that requires, in terms of Facebook ads, a pretty high level of knowledge to be able to replicate a high sales velocity to higher quality customers with Facebook ads. So giving Amazon what it wants is hugely important. It's a key piece of the equation. One of the other issues I have with Facebook ads as part of a product launch strategy is that it can unintentionally associate your brand with heavily discounted offers. There's no insulation there from your brand to that offer, where if you use a launch service, they help you to sort of insulate because you're already going to sort of discount friendly, promotional, sort of conditioned customers that are looking for those types of offers. So your brand doesn't get caught up as much and run the risk of losing that brand equity. Because really, when you talk about moving your FBA business off Amazon, really what you're talking about is brand equity, is that you've substantiated your brand. You're not just an Amazon brand, you are brand A, and you stand out and you can cut through in a competitive marketplace because you've generated and your brand has garnered equity. It itself has unique value that is not marketplace or channel specific, which is really valuable. And so you can see where you can lose a lot of that if you're offering 90% off right alongside your brand to customers that you could be catering deals for 10, 15, or even just a bundled offer where you're still making great margins, but you're not giving away the farm to a customer that you can build a relationship with, have higher engagement with, and you're not diluting that brand equity, because you really need to cherish that. That's something that it dovetails really nicely into the idea of moving off Amazon, because that's the whole point is brand equity, that you've got worth beyond being just an Amazon brand. You don't want to dilute that for the sake of ranking. As important as ranking is, your brand equity is right up there. It's such an important piece of the equation. And so, as I alluded to before, when it comes to segmenting and offering these deals to customers to garner that high sales velocity, is ultimately the idea that you have somewhat of a mystery customer on Facebook. Again, if you have a high level of knowledge, some of this information you should, rightfully with the right lens. If you have the experience, you're able to hedge and mitigate a lot of these concerns. And that's something that I want to make very clear, is that if you're a Facebook ad expert, your time, your financial commitment, some of the previously mentioned issues aren't really an issue in this case, because you can deploy strategies that you're not expending vast amounts of time, you're not learning while you're deploying, you're just getting in there and delivering Amazon what it wants, hopefully to have an effective launch. And then one of the other pieces is really when it comes to dealing with hijackers. When you're launching a product at scale, you have to move so many units that hijackers always kind of floats into the equation, is the potential for somebody to come in maliciously, whether it's a group, whether it's one person that's savvy enough, that has the understanding, they can come in and hop on your listing and hijack it. And so this is something that as a launch service, we really obsess about, and we really focus on what measures do we have in place to ensure that you deal with really no hijackers. And so, I wanted to share with you guys a few results of some recent launches that really hammer some of these points home. And so let me pull up one of the recent launches that we did just a few days ago. I'm going to bring that over. And so you can see, because of course I can tell you we don't deal with hijackers, but it's really important to be able to point at launches that have gone through what we kind of affectionately call the rank earthquake, where they're jumping all over the place, and then you've been able to achieve top rank by launching. Again, this is a very recent one, so I want to only provide some recent examples where the launch has taken off. It's worked, it's stuck, and then you can't really maintain rank if you're fighting hijackers. Hijackers are the way where the bottom falls out for your launch. It's the post-launch sort of cyanide. It can just absolutely kill and crush launch performance. And so we've got examples like this one where rank held just fine. We're not dealing with any hijackers or anything like that. Let me see if I can take a look at another one that's kind of similar. Again, dealing with that typical rank earthquake where you're seeing performance kind of all over the place, and then launch taking it to that top spot and holding it. So again, this is one, and we're cutting this together on the 15th, so you can see how that rank has held. And so again, I love our launch platform just because we continue to iterate and find out what Amazon's working, how it's working. And so what's important when it comes to Facebook ads is always cognizant of what's working, staying tapped in, watching what we're learning, because we have the benefit of running hundreds and thousands of launches now and really seeing, okay, where is Amazon putting a focus? Is it going to continue to be a 24-hour high sales velocity window? Do they recognize high quality customers the same way they do now? And are those shortcomings that you may have with Facebook ads? And that's where understanding that nuance, if you go into it understanding the concessions, you can address them, but it's very important to understand what those are. Again, I've seen them kind of the shiny object syndrome with Facebook ads, where it's really has a nice appeal, but without understanding what's lacking with that strategy, like I said, you really run the risk of having an underperforming launch. You have a time investment, you have a financial investment, you don't get the results that you want, and it can be really frustrating. So go into it informed, understand some of these key points that we've touched on, and hopefully you can have a successful launch. That is not to say you can't use Facebook ads. Are they the most effective? Not for your everyday seller who doesn't have that level of knowledge and expertise. That's something that you really have to get. And what I would encourage you to do as a completely biased person in this equation is maybe launch and then learn about Facebook ads while you have that top spot, while you're not dealing with hijackers. One of the results I just shared with you that just ran this past week, where you've got top spot, no hijackers, you've got full visibility, and then while you're cash flowing and dealing with post-launch performance, then you learn about Facebook ads, then you learn about audience segmentation, then you really gear your Facebook ads to be able to deploy in a way that Amazon puts on a pedestal, when it's really rewarding right now. So I hope that was really helpful for you guys. Again, I'm going to encourage you, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You'll get notifications anytime I go live, off the cuff like this, and give you some quick content. And I'd love it if you guys had any questions. I want to make sure, taking advantage of this live format, that you guys can hop in. If there's something I can answer, it's a really cool way to reward those that join us and take part in the content. But I might have been a little bit too impromptu with today's video. So let me take a quick look. It looks like we've got a few comments. Hey, Steven. Hey, Aiden. Hope you guys are doing great. Let's see. To be effective, serious planning. Absolutely. I would also agree that it requires a deep knowledge of campaign structure. And Stephen Black, of course, somebody in our community who knows Facebook's ads. Well, he might very well be the exception, where somebody who really knows Facebook ads can deploy it in such a way that he's handing Amazon what it wants and can do it in an effective manner. So there is exceptions to the rule, but it's all about information, guys. Understanding the pros and cons, weighing everything, understanding your ROI. Because what I tend to see is those that maybe deviate closer to doing Facebook ads is that they don't necessarily have a full grasp on the opportunity cost. They don't understand that it's going to take time, a financial commitment. There's still a learning curve. You may not be giving Amazon what it wants. So once you have like a little handful of things that are shortcomings, you really have to set your expectations accordingly. For maybe a less than subtle launch, it's unfortunate, but that very well could be the case. Please information on how to get your listing unblocked from getting new reviews. Now I've shared a kind of a hack in the FBA Kings community. Those that aren't a part of that, FBA Kings is our Facebook community, so definitely jump in. I shared a kind of a workaround. It will potentially have you lose your ranking, so that's an important piece, but it will get your listing effectively unblocked from reviews. So definitely check out FBA Kings for that. One other thing coming down the pipeline, we're going to have a seller tools feature that you're going to really love for this, for visibility, immediate visibility into listings that you may not even know. If you have quite a few SKUs that you're managing, you may very well be missing out on those that are blocked from receiving reviews. So you want to be ahead of that and not learning after the fact. Cool. Awesome. Well, with that, guys, I think we will leave it there. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. Be sure to share this information. I think, like I said, as long as people understand the implications, there's been a lot of buzz about launches, the pluses, the negatives, where it stands today. And I feel like every strategy for the informed seller, you need to have the 360 view to really make sure that you're not going in blind. Because it's really unfortunate when you see those stories where somebody's really frustrated because they had this expectation of, okay, I was going to follow this step, and they really only saw the positive pieces to a certain approach. And I think this is really important to fill out and give you all the information. All right, guys. So with that, again, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you like this. Please like if you enjoyed the content. I really appreciate those joining me. And those that are just hopping in, I do try to answer all of your questions in the comments as well. And so please leave them there. Hopefully you guys are having a great Monday. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you guys here again soon.